This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Veterans, do you take medication? At VA, prescriptions have a range of copay levels, from free to $5, $8, or $11 for a 30-day prescription, depending on your eligibility. Refill by mail, in person, or on VA's mobile app. Sign up at va.gov or call 1-800-MyVA411.
All I know is war. All I know is shoot. All I want is more, but I got some things to do. I'm a dog of war. Hell's what I've been through. I'm a dog of war. I did it all for you. I'm a soldier, I'm a warrior. Got an emblem on my cover. And ask me what I did for ya. I put the trash deep down under. Yeah, I'm a dog of war. Hell's what I've been through. I'm a dog of war. I did it all for you.
Took some time in the place, man. I just needed some space. All the pain show in my face, and my heart starts to race. Band of brothers.
Oh, brother, please let us know for last thoughts, our listeners live and on podcast.
All right, we know that I do joke quite often about my attempted escapes from the psych ward, but in all seriousness, the psych ward gang is seriously my idea of representing the military. Representing mental health in the military community. So if you happen to run into any type of mental health crisis or emergency, do not be ashamed nor afraid to dial 988, press option 1. Again, just as I had to do when I was in a moment of crisis, do not be ashamed nor afraid to dial the digits 988, then press option 1 if you find yourself in a similar mental health crisis. Hello, and welcome to the show. This is episode 81 of the WarDawg Trail podcast. I have a great guest for you today. I'm waiting for him to join me in the studio. Before I get to him, though, or while we wait for him to join, let's go ahead and go over today's announcement. All right. This show airs every day on the MBR radio app as well as the website. MBR stands for Military Broadcast Radio. This show airs every day from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. So be sure to catch the video or the audio podcast every day here at 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. All right, remember, Sergeant WarDawg TV is your source for military, hunting, and outdoors TV with swag. All right, we won 2 awards last year. The first award was from Corporate Livewire, and that was for Veteran Support Nonprofit Organization of the Year. The second award came from a magazine in the UK. Acquisition International Magazine named us Leading Veteran Welfare Outreach Nonprofit Organization for 2023. All right, I have completed my book on my 3 tours in Iraq as a U.S. Marine Infantry Rifleman. I have submitted it to several publishers, and when I have some type of a release date, I will let you all know. All right. My nonprofit, Camp Doghouse, can now be found at campdoghouse.org. Camp Doghouse, remember, is my homeless shelter for veterans in the Central Florida area, where we will try to house 10 to 20 homeless veterans. As always, be sure to check out my website, sergeantwardawgtv.com, as well as the Facebook page, Sergeant WarDawg TV, YouTube channel, Sergeant WarDawg TV, and the Instagram page especially, because I update everything first on Instagram. Instagram is Sergeant WarDawg TV. You can also find me on X at Sergeant War. All right. Now, I am a host on DV Radio. DV stands for Dysfunctional Veterans. We go live every Saturday night from 8 p.m. to 9 or 10 p.m. If you want to joke and laugh like you did back when you were in the barracks during your military days, tune in to Barracks Talk on dvradio.net. All right, my second podcast, Bullets, Blades, and Hooks, is a podcast that goes out and interviews veterans organizations that seek to get veterans in the outdoors, whether that's hunting, camping, shooting, or fishing. Bullets, Blades, and Hooks interviews veterans organizations that help get veterans outdoors as a form of outdoor therapy. All right, remember, I am a brand ambassador for Reaper Apparel Co., so you can use my code, Sergeant WarDawg TV, for 10% off. Peace for Warriors. This is a veterans organization that takes veterans out to volunteer around the world. If you are a veteran that might be struggling with your life's purpose, struggling with your mission in life now that the war's over, check out Peace for Warriors and their mission as they head to the Philippines here in March to work on a school in a village just north of the Subic Bay. That's at peaceforwarriors.org. All right, for all my fans of SHOT Show, we will be at SHOT Show in about 3 weeks in Las Vegas. We have media passes this year, so we've been invited to shoot brand new guns with Glock, Radiant Weapons, Horizon Firearms, Mitchell Defense, PTR, and Cadix Defense. All right. We are media members of the NSSF, the National Shooting Sports Foundation, the organization that runs SHOT Show. We'll soon be media members of POMA, the Professional Outdoor Media Association. All right, for my hunters, my predator hunters that like to go after coyotes and wild hogs, this is the Ecotech Helion Plus Game Caller. It has a variety of sounds available to help you get your target harvest. As usual, if you're interested in advertising on Sergeant WarDawg TV, these are the outlets that you can watch the show on or listen to the podcast on. All right, as always, this is the WarDawg Trail podcast, episode 81. I'm your host, Sergeant WarDawg, and without further ado, I bring to the stage the one, the only, KD, Kevin Dixie, the real NOC. What's up, boss?
What's going on, brother? First of all, thank you for the wonderful intro. Like everything that you got going on, and let me apologize publicly for the technical delays. I tried to admire and respect your 10-minute log on before, and I'm just getting off vacation. All my equipment, every piece of it, except for this device here, was like, yeah, we still on vacation. So for that, I do apologize, but I'm glad to be here.
It's all good, boss. It's all good. I had to tell you, I brought you on the show because I'm a fan. I love what you're doing with the outdoors, with the community, with children. You're doing some really commendable stuff to look into. What I didn't know, though, I'm in Florida. Where are you at?
I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, but now I'm located in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay, so you're in the A. That's what's up. I was born in Atlanta. I was born in the Lithonia area. All
Okay,
right.
I'm familiar with that area.
That's what's up. That's what's up. All right. If you don't mind, to get us started, tell us about you. Tell us about you and your background with firearms.
Background with firearms. Okay, no problem. So I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, born and raised. I've been in Atlanta, Georgia, roughly about 3 years now. So, no offense to you, but I don't claim Atlanta. I'm a STL boy. So I'm in Atlanta now. But as far as firearms go, 21 years old, I joined the St. Louis City Police Department in our prisoner processing division. And that's kind of where my journey with firearms began. From there, I decided to intertwine firearms when I got properly educated on them. I decided to intertwine firearms in with my civil rights movement and in my community outreach work that I was already involved in. And I just love the art of teaching. I'm an educator by nature. I like transferring knowledge, understanding things, how the mind works, functions, learning behaviors, all those things that kind of go into educating the community in general. So when firearms came in and I realized that there was an educational component to it, I studied the educators. I studied the guys that taught me. And I don't mean just because they taught me how to load a magazine. I mean, I studied teaching styles and learned those. And even when I went into a higher level of education, teaching and understanding human behavior was part of what I did, even in a different aspect. So I took everything I learned with firearms, brought in professional education, and so I transferred myself to being a coach more than an instructor. So can I do the thing with the guns? Yes. So when it comes to guns, I've been on, and I say this humbly, but I've been on, you name a big platform, I've been on it. You name a level of shooter, I've been in videos with them. I've had discussions about education, firearm, the gadgets, the evolution of the industry and all those things. So I am involved in every level, I would say, at every level. But my passion with this is not showing you that I can do the thing. My passion is transferring and making more Michael Jordans, and I'm cool with being Phil Jackson. All right. So that's kind of my approach with the guns. But yeah, man, I've been there, done it, sponsored by several good brands. I've had various partnerships over the years. I've had the pleasure of meeting individuals like yourself through this arena, and the pleasure of traveling the country and being in all kind of backyards and living rooms and ranges across the country and to a degree across the world, transferring this knowledge to people. So it's my pleasure. I've been at it about, I think we're going into year 24 or 25 now. So about a quarter of a century I've been involved one way or the other.
That's what's up. That's what I'm talking about, bro. Salute to you on all levels for that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Now, I personally want to know, I've seen what it stands for, but can you tell us the story behind NOC?
Sure, man. No different than you being a military veteran. One thing that I try to get people to understand and what we do as far as educating people, you're going to go to different people for different sources of knowledge. Different people have different experiences. And so mine, no other choice, comes from the experience I have in putting people in cages, right? And I try to explain to people that we all are multifaceted. We all have different things that we do. But one of the things that I had, I would say to a degree, the unfortunate pleasure of doing was putting good people in bad situations, right? So you do the wrong thing when considering self-defense, because people think self-defense is common sense, and it's not. And then all of a sudden, I'm the guy that's telling you, hey, we're about to send you up for 25, right? And things of that nature. I'm the guy that's giving you the stale bologna sandwich. I'm the guy that's telling you when you can drink water. I'm the guy that's taking your photo, taking your prints, throwing you in a cage, ignoring you when you're calling out for help or whatever the case may be, because that's my job in law enforcement. So with no other choice from seeing that, coming from the hood, coming from that environment and understanding what that side of it looks like, and then understanding what the side of it looks like when you got good people that's just making bad decisions, I decided that what I would bring to the arena was a different philosophy, because all the door kickers, and no disrespect to them, but all the guys that spent their career kicking in doors, all the people that have just, transferred knowledge as far as like, this is how we eliminate threats, right? They're forgetting a very, very important component of that. And that component was, you run Murder, Death, Kill Academy, but you aren't telling Steven what's going to happen to him if he doesn't really have all his ducks in a row, because I'm the person that sees that firsthand. You don't know what it's like to put grown men on suicide watch when they got a family. You don't know what it's like to watch their kids try to beat through bulletproof glass to get one last hug from dad. You're not watching him and his wheels are turning as he's thinking about losing his house, losing his career, his wife being in bed with another man. Like, you aren't thinking about all these things where I see that. So no other choices simply it means this. You should never cause negative impact to another human being, even if they deserve it, as long as you are not allowing yourself or another innocent person to be hurt in the process. Extend God's grace and mercy to others as you will want extended to you. But if they leave you with no other choice, you will execute your duties with extreme prejudice and make it home. And if you go through that process, then it will be, you have legally, if you're armed with the legal information and you're armed with humanity, then you're going to have a better outcome of not being in my custody. So you should be at a point of no other choice before you make the decision to end or seriously harm a human life. Make sure we're running through that, because everybody that's telling you just how to do that sub-second draw and a Mozambique drill, they aren't understanding that, yes, we should be able to do that. However, you do that without consciously thinking about everything else and you lose humanity, then it's going to be real. It's going to be interesting to look at your Instagram page and you tough with your 17 guns, but then guys like me are stripping your clothes off you and putting you in paper gowns because all you want to do is, so it's bringing a reality to what we do.
Damn. KD, I got to give it to you, boss. You have a unique perspective on what's truly happening in life. And I want to say it's that front row kind of perspective that I appreciate. That's the reason why I joined the infantry and joined the front lines, because I really wanted to know what it was like and what it was about. What you see on a day-to-day basis and what you just had me picture in my mind from what you experienced with the men that you have to put away. Hey, I knew I was talking to somebody on the front lines of the trenches, bro. I knew from the way you spit everything just now that I fuck with you the long way, because you see that real, you about that real, and you about trying to help people to avoid that, and that's deep, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I want to see part of the journey of putting not only Americans, but putting urban Americans, Black Americans in particular, in a position where they understand everything that surrounds their rights, and whatever they decide to do with those rights is their business. But when the gun comes into play, or self-defense and understanding that realm comes into play with our history and where we want to go as a united front with other Americans and with ourselves as individuals, one thing that I think that we have to take and make very important is that we, especially people that look like me and you, particularly our color, our gender, we have not only been exposed to a high level of violence, people expect for us to be violent, right? Yeah. They expect for us to not to know and understand how to have civil conversations. The expectation is for us, even amongst ourselves, the expectation is for us to always resort to violence as a first option instead of the last option. And part of what I wanted to bring is that as we are gearing and getting, and I can say that I've been one of the original faces to push this in, but one of the things that we have to also introduce is calm, perspective, emotional intelligence, resolve. These are all things that are important, because as we protect ourselves from everything else around us that we say historically, hey, we know these things are bad, or even present day, these things are bad. The biggest enemy to thyself is thyself. So we want to make sure that we are approaching things in a way to say, humbly, I mean, you know what, man, I'm capable of killing you. Make no mistake about that. But what I would rather do is embrace you and bless you with life and give you some advice and spare me and my family the hardships of having to deal with you. So I'm going to treat my education, my abilities, my skills, I'm going to take all those things and try to bless you with life, instead of always going back to my programmed, socially programmed nature of killing you, because I have to be able to see value in myself. And once I see that value in myself, brother, I see value in you. So the last thing I want to do is use this skill that I have to hurt you. I would much rather use this to help you and extend some grace and some love to you. We can be armed. We can protect ourselves from extreme threats, but let's start programming thyself to stop looking in the mirror. As I look at you, I don't see a threat. But when I was coming up, I was supposed to look at you as the threat. So right now, I want to make sure that we're reprogramming our people at the same time to say, when I see you as we all running around with these guns, brother, I see you as another loving man with his own family, his own mission. And the last thing I want is conflict with you. I just want to make sure that you can progress, I can progress, and may we meet at the end goal being freedom.
Right on. Right on. I like that. I really like that. Now, you're one of the few people that I can ever talk on this level with. So I'm going to ask you a few questions that pertain to us, our gender, our race. Because I just don't run into everyone that I can hold these kinds of conversations with. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But you're definitely the guy. Speak on the statistics of Black men being killed by other Black men.
So I would be dismissive of facts if I didn't make this quick statement. There is a balance of saying, yes, every skin tone or color or culture kills each other more because of proximity, right? So that is a statistical fact.
Nice.
However, here is where I battle, because that is a fact. And a lot of people like to use that fact for the way that they want to. I tell people numbers don't lie, but statistics can be influenced depending on what your agenda is, right? So that is a fact, but here is the balance. And this is where I put Black men on notice. We have a part of our culture that says we address each other as kings and queens, right? We hear that, right? And we understand that is about mentality and attitude, about the way you carry yourself, about the way that you project, the energy you give off. We have an innate understanding of that. And so when I see people use that aforementioned stat to say, well, man, we just like everybody else. You can't call yourself a king and act like the peasants, brother.
Oh, speak on it.
You can't do that. You can't do that. And I'm not calling other people peasants, but if you're going to say that you are a king, then we don't have a mindset of others. We're supposed to have a kingly mindset. And kings only cause hurt and harm to each other when they are seriously at risk. Kings don't look to go tear down somebody else's kingdom, because you should be focused on yours. We call those tyrants, right? So if a king is only worried about himself, his people, how they can grow and how they can foster, the last thing we should do is then take that mentality and say, well, I'm gonna be cool with being like everybody else over here, but then I'm gonna call myself a king on this side. So Black men killing other Black men is atrocious to me. I think that when you isolate that part of the conversation and you hyper-focus on that, it is a problem. And here's the biggest thing. We've been socially engineered, and I'm not going to speak in an absolute, because absolutes are very, very difficult, but I will speak in an unhealthy percentage. We have been conditioned since birth, especially if you grew up in certain environments. You have been conditioned to kill other Black men, make no doubt about it. So much so, I grew up in the 90s. I'm a crack era 90s baby, right? Born in the 70s, spent most of my teenage years, it was in the 90s. And I know what that environment is like. And I can tell you from conversations, I could look at you up the street, and man, you had a disagreement at the corner store, maybe about who was going to move something to who, or who disrespected who, or who liked who girl, or who said what about who mama, or whatever the situation may be. And I can look at you and your life has no value. I'm like, as soon as I catch you tripping, because the hood tells me I got to do something about that level of disrespect. So yeah. I have to severely impact your life, if not end it, right? But then we would be having those same conversations about the white guy that lives, 7 miles away, that cursed you out at your job, maybe did the same level of disrespect. But then you were taught, oh man, don't touch them white people because they're gonna send you up.
Yeah.
So we've been conditioned and taught, and I'm not saying you should be hurting anybody, but we've been conditioned and taught that our lives have less value, and we have to have a higher level of respect for those around us. But our lives are not valuable. And matter of fact, if you disrespect me, forget the fact that you coming from the same trap, forget the fact that you got the same social conditions, forget the fact that everything's been leveraged against you exactly the same. I am supposed to view you as an enemy. You can talk about welfare, you can talk about this the economic disparities. You can talk about all those things, but they form a consequence that says your value is less than. And what disgusts me about black men is that when we look at each other and we can say, "Oh, we intelligent. I got this information. I got this game. I'm woke," or whatever the situation may be. But then you still look at another black man and dismiss the value of his life. You still can go out and look at these young brothers that are running around doing the wrong thing, and we forget about the each one teach one. You know, we are quick to be dismissive. "Oh man, I got out the hood, so I ain't got nothing to do with them kids over there." Then nobody say you got to go rescue all of them, but you can't get one little knucklehead and have a conversation with him. Just one. That way he can start seeing the value of black men, even if he only sees the value in you. And he can look in the mirror and say, "Oh man, you know what? I wouldn't do that to OG. I wouldn't do that to Unc. So I'm gonna let this cat breathe." And if he can call you and vent about it, cool. So to wrap it up, we need social restructuring and love in thyself to bring those numbers way, way down. 1, 2, stop giving me the excuse that everybody do it and call yourself a king at the same time, bro. I'm done talking about that. That does not make any sense to me. I'm a king, but I'm gonna act just like the others, and I'm gonna make that an excuse. That is lack of responsibility, and you don't want ownership of it. 3, each one teach one, man. Go get you one. First, fix yourself and stop acting like you don't have a problem. Second, go find somebody, one young brother that'll listen to you. And if you ain't got to reach out to everybody. Get one, right? And try to guide him on the right path. Because if he don't kill somebody, then somebody ain't got a reason to be looking for him to try to kill him. And then they people ain't got a reason to be looking for his people to try to kill them. So you saving one life could save 10. You get what I'm saying? So that's what I find disgusting about us when we make the excuses and we don't want to put in the work. And the last thing I'll say about that, some of these black men that have now found themselves in this 2A space, I will say this: I'm extremely disappointed. And when they get into conflicts, and I use the word conflict as a broad brush, so-and-so don't, whatever your video, so-and-so and you don't get along, y'all energy don't match when you're in a room, whatever. It is very disgusting to me that these men then will start having behind the scenes conversations like people don't love to talk to each other about what so-and-so said, right? They will start having these behind the scene conversations about wanting to inflict violence, hurt, or harm on someone that looks like them, right? That's trying to be in the same space. So it is absolutely deplorable and despicable to me that you will enter into this space, and whatever lane you want to go into, that's your business. But then when you get into conflict, you immediately result to, "Oh, I wish so-and-so would. I wish so-and-so would. And I want to have a conflict." Let me say that about this. This ain't the block, homie. Most of the people you are dealing with have extreme capabilities. And when you start talking about hurt, harm, and danger to somebody just because they might use a different vernacular than you, just because they might have cured themselves from the place they come from, you ain't the tough guy on the block no more when you step into this arena. It's a whole bunch of alphas. It's a whole bunch of them, right? So one, check yourself, man. Everybody I'm around is a killer. Everybody.
Yes.
You know, so I respect killers like I will respect the old lady walking across the street, brother. Respect to you. We ain't even got to have that kind of conflict. And if I think we going to have that kind of conflict, then maybe we should just be mature enough to have a conversation about it, or politely just stay away from each other. It ain't got to be conflict when I walk past you. Number 2, with that, you are bringing the stereotype into this space that comes from the movies, that come from the streets. You bringing that right over here, right? So people like me, and I'm gonna talk my stuff for a second. People like me, and not only me, but people like me spent a lot of time behind the scenes carving a lane for these cats to come in and have a space. A lot of conversations, a whole lot of them, a lot of representation, right? A lot of the front heavy blows. You go back to the brother Ken Blanchard that was doing this before the internet was even a thing. You fast forward up through the New Wars, through the Ken Scotts, through the Maj Rays, through the Kevin Dixies, through the Argo Jays. You come forward, and now we got, it's a whole lot of brothers out there that's been doing this for a while. But Doyle, you got a lot of people out here that have been trying to help in their own way. And then what you do is you come in and you spit in the face of that professionalism. You spit in the face of that by bringing that hood mentality into this space. Now, we all got our flow. We all got our swag. We all do that in our way. I'm not talking about that. The way you talk, the way you present yourself, the way you communicate, bro, I love individuality. I'm talking about the ignorance. I'm talking about the stupidity of violence in particular. So if you would do me a favor, black men especially, if you were thinking about entering this space, if you're watching this podcast and maybe you follow this brother because you're trying to figure out what your lane is and if you can get into it, do me one favor. Please be an individual. Believe that block mentality on the block. Don't bring that over here. Because once you do something stupid, then somebody else got to answer for it. Then your video or your stupidity is what's viral. And then that's what we got to address, right? Because y'all not in the room with the Congress people when we talk about discussing laws. You aren't getting the phone calls like I'm getting about, hey, this is the video we see now. Can you help us explain to this senator why he shouldn't sign off on this thing? Right? You're not getting those phone calls. So do yourself a favor, man. Enter the space. Be a professional. Have you a soundboard. I ain't saying you ain't going to think about doing something silly. We all human. But have you a soundboard that you can go to. But keep that off. And the last thing I'll say about that, you think that when you start talking like that, it doesn't get, let me tell you something. In the professional rooms, you are immediately X-gamed. Nobody wants to deal with you, right? When somebody says my name and then they say beef in the same sentence with me, I'm no longer going to engage with you because that is it's asinine and it's adolescent. So why would I then want to conduct a professional relationship with somebody that reminds me of a child? Right? We're not going to do that. And my mentality represents 98% of the industry. Right? So once you start doing that and once you get to talking about beef and all this and that, you got to understand on a big level, companies that might be able to kick you down on something, if they see that you can't conduct yourself like a professional or maybe make a joke out of silly things, people can take beef and turn it into a joke and then become a laughing matter, then it's gone in a couple of weeks, right? That shows that you know how to manipulate media. But if you don't have that kind of intelligence, ain't nobody going to want to do business with you, man. So keep that street shit on the street. If you want to have conflict with other black men that got guns, I got plenty of blocks I can send you to and you can do that shit all day. But leave that from over here. Enter this arena, come as a professional, act like a professional, and represent your people the right way.
You damn right. I like that. KD ain't playing no games today with it. Yeah, I like that.
No problem. Sorry to go off on a rant there, but it annoys me.
Oh, no. Actually, man, you just opened my eyes because you got me. All right. I've been online for about 4 years now, right? But I never got into interviewing people and learning about the 2A space until these last 2 to 3 months. I knocked down about 30 interviews over these last 2 to 3 months. And the things I'm learning, things I'm picking up, I would actually, I didn't know. So you actually seen our type, get almost out of hand with it in that way as influencers or whatnot.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And so part of I think everybody's job, not just my job. Part of it is when I see it. That's why I'm not mentioning names because I don't want to lend that energy.
Yeah.
And I don't promote it, right? Because my platform reaches a different level of people. I have CEOs on my platform. Right. So it's a different so I'm not trying to expose them to that. For that, last thing you want to do is feed somebody stereotype of bias that makes it hard for other people. Right. So I don't amplify it. I don't lend names and energy to it. But have I seen it? Absolutely. Do I get the screenshots of it? Absolutely. Hell, not even necessarily the even down to some of the name calling. Some of these young brothers will enter into this space, and as soon as you do something they don't like, or as kind of a elder, no different if I was a kid in the service, and you chin check me a little bit, like, hey, young man, come here. No, don't do that like that. Do that like this, because this is the consequence. Let me guide you right over here, right?
Yeah.
Some of these kids can't take a very respectful course correction would all of a sudden want to, publicly try to call you names and get in the beef with you. And I've had to explain to these kids, like, to a lot of them, respectfully, young man, you wouldn't be a thing if I wasn't a thing. So and Ken Blanchard could say that to me. It's understanding that in a space where we are just getting past, I would probably say in the last 10 to 14 years, somewhere up in that ballpark, where being a black man with a gun wasn't an immediate threat. Now you got to think about it a little bit because you see it a little bit more, right? It's a little bit more culturally, I'm not going to say, well, I will say acceptable for lack of better. But when we have people that are now entering into a space in the last 4 or 5 years, and they all of a sudden think that they can bring ignorance to a level, to an arena where we are trying to prove maturity, ownership. You know, a lot of people are focusing on, oh, well, I got beef with so-and-so and I got beef with so-and-so. Y'all got the wrong kind of conversations going on. First of all, I have been big on telling individuals it's great that we are maturing and getting individuals into the lifestyle of self-protection and firearms and knowledge and constitutional awareness and de-escalation skills and all those things. And I think two of the biggest people to talk about those type of things are myself and the brother Maj Toure. So we started having those kind of conversations, and it's a beautiful thing to see more and more people being engulfed into the mentality of the lifestyle. What I've also tried to tell individuals is y'all so busy focusing on the wrong stuff, conflicts and all this old crazy mess and who do it better. Brother, I am trying to get you to the point to where you are making money off of firearms. I'm trying to get you to the point to where you are sitting in boardrooms helping making decisions. We are always thinking about just being a consumer and pressing the trigger, right? I'm trying to get you to understand that you should do that from the heart. But what other avenues can you go through? How can you actually make this to where it can put a little food in your family? If you're doing community outreach work, how can you take some of these profits over here and move it over here to help your people in a different way? But you want to talk about beef? I'm trying to get you paid. I'm trying to get you solidified. I'm trying to get you entangled in the industry. In the corporate world, there is something called a strategic alliance, right? And a strategic alliance is when two entities come together with strategy and purpose, and they intertwine into each other and they grow together to get to the point of what their mission is together. I'm trying to get people to understand that there is an opportunity and a way to become strategically aligned with brands, people, and industry to get yourself to a higher level, right? To get yourself to a place where you can do whatever you want to do with the opportunities that are available to you. But all you want to do is run around and talk about beef and talk about conflicts with individuals. And then because people don't engage, and this is just a street mentality, because people choose not to engage, all of a sudden they soft, and all of a sudden, oh, they a coon, or all of a sudden they this, and all of a sudden they that. Brother, I'm an angel. I'm a blesser of life. I'm not engaging with you on purpose. You know, and we have to understand that as we are sitting in these arenas and sitting in these places, and we talk about expanding the reputation of Black men, I am a father. I have 2 wonderful kids. I got a son and in 6 months is on his way to the United States Air Force. I got a wife. I have business. I have investment. I have community outreach programs. What do I look like arguing with somebody online or inviting somebody into a conflict? So I would encourage everybody, if you have that kind of outlook, if you have that kind of foresight about your life in whichever way you want to do it, the last thing you should be doing is hurting your people, hurting Black men, and then hurting your professional ability by coming into this arena talking about beef. You sound like a stupid kid, and everybody around you is armed. Everybody. And everybody around you, you better believe, has a different level. You're going to walk into an arena of the 2A community is different than the block. Now, the block got killers too, but when you start walking into this arena, you talking about door kickers. You talking about people that can hit you from 400-500 away. You talking about people with blade skills, hand-to-hand skills, explosive skills. You are talking about a different level of individuals that just happen to be tamed professionals. Yep. Leave that beef shit on the block, please. Now, I'll leave it at that.
I gotta ask, bro. When you say it, it seems like there's a lot of urgency to it. Have you seen some stuff that's like makes you feel like something might be on the verge?
No. The problem is though, how do we identify that? Right.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Nothing where I'm saying, oh, I know somebody's sitting at home right now plotting, but at the same time, I don't know what the next person's tipping point is. Right. It could simply be they woke up and saw you taking that last little slide at them, and in a way, I don't want to even give the young brothers that I see doing it the energy and the time because they knuckleheads and they don't like to listen. But then another part of it is I spent a lot of my life mentoring, so I'm used to dealing with, knuckleheads that don't want to listen. It's part of I was a knucklehead that didn't want to listen at one point, so I get it. I say it with love. It's just I also don't want to see what we've always seen is young men spending so much time trying to prove something that they lose everything. Because another thing about it is in this space, in this 2A space, you don't know who's watching you. And you don't know what law enforcement would love to make an example out of you. So when you do a silly thing, they're going to give you everything, right? Because if you influence, say, 10,000 people, oh, okay, well, this is 10,000 people that we can talk directly to and scare the shit out of by making an example out of you. You know, true. You start talking about black men with guns, things change. Last time you heard something from Jam Master Jay.
Bet.
And how did they take him down? Out of everything that was going on, no matter how you feel about him, he went away because he did the wrong thing with a firearm. And he disappeared.
I feel you.
It's a gift and a curse, right? So for the people out there, my advice is, man, look, get into the space. And even if you're not into the space, you just got into the lifestyle of just carrying a gun. You can't, you're not in the position anymore to be involved in those petty beefs, man. You're just not. You're not in the position to be arguing with so-and-so. You're not in the position to, you know, look for conflict. You should be avoiding it at all costs. I don't want a problem with nobody. If you can't walk up to me and have a civilized conversation with me, I don't want to engage with you. But I am willing to engage in any conversation with anybody. But if you can't do that, if you can't conduct yourself as an adult, if you can't conduct yourself as a reasonable professional, I don't want to have involvement with you, because I think the thing that we forget is that we all know what it looked like when it go left. And I don't know about nobody else, man. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. I'm cool on that. Right now, what I think is better, I don't think getting into some kind of beef with some fool in the streets is cooler than me sitting back, you know, talking to my daughter about, you know, the issues she having at school. I think it's a lot. I think I'm more of a man and more of a G when I can look at my son and know he's being raised and I come from a fatherless environment. I think I'm more of a G and more of a gangster when I can look out and say my son ain't got to deal with smokers and cluckers and crackheads and hot boxes and gang members and you know, dope dealing outside of his front door like I did. I think I'm a little bit better of a G. I think I'm a little bit better of a man when I can sit and instead of looking at a prison rap sheet on the wall, not saying that brothers don't come back from that, but my son look on my wall on my desk every day and see degrees. My son was able to look up, and in his room right now is a framed magazine cover of his dad on the cover of Time magazine. That's gangster. You know, so when you start talking to me about coming and having street beef with some of these cats now, and I got everything and I got the skill set to use it. I know I can't touch it, but it's something right there. Like that is not the gangster part, man. I've been watching death and murder and homicide since I was 2. That's nothing, right? Yeah. What's gangster is changing your culture, changing your community, moving people in a different direction. And you know what else is cool? When I can look at another black man, it's one thing I will give shouts out to Atlanta about, right? And maybe it's just a change in environment for me, but Atlanta was one of the first cities that when I got here and I started dealing with other black men on a daily basis outside of my normal environment of St. Louis, is the first place, man, where I could say brothers would just speak to me. They would just say, "What's up?" You know, I'm a cigar smoker. I get in these cigar lounges and these black men just chop it up. Sports, business, you know, whatever. They just chopping it up. And it's the first time, because where I come from, we're a little bit on edge. We the number one violent city for a reason. So we always on edge. When I got down here, it was just kind of like, and I know it goes down in Atlanta, don't get me wrong. When I got down here, it was just kind of like, oh shit, I can actually see what it's like to be around other black men, and they respect you. You know, you them, they you. You know, it's just, what's up, brother? We ain't gotta have no conflict, man. I'll be walking down the street and I'm the fool because I'm programmed to be on edge. I'm walking down the street. I know I'm looking at them funny because I'm being defensive. Now back at home, that's just a normal look. But here I would have brothers reach their hand out and be like, "Hey man, how you doing?" They had to check me. I'm like, "Oh, okay, this is what's up." So, you know, all that to say, man, spread more love, less ignorance. And if you're gonna get into this space, be a professional. If you're not in this space, but you just love the art of carrying and love the lifestyle of protection and the Constitution and the Second Amendment and all those things, that is awesome. Just make sure you're not inviting yourself to foolishness, because when you walk out that front door, you represent way more than you, especially if you're a black man with a gun. They are looking for a reason to make an example out of you and prove the stereotypes in the bias. So please don't help people assassinate your character.
Right on, bro. I want to say, I think that you and I, because of the realities of our professions, we have that perspective of already knowing exactly what we are capable of. as opposed to the younger guys who still feel the need to prove this or feel the need to show that. We've already been in positions where we know we've shown what we're capable of. We know what we can do. So I think a whole lot of that has to do with that testosterone not being able to be gotten out by some, the way that we've been able to get it out in our lives. You know what I'm saying? Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I'm tracking.
All right. Because I see that, I see that all the time. I get that you're gonna be in macho environments. I get just like I love the way you said you surrounded by killers, because even being a Marine, I had that feeling, every day as well. I'm surrounded by killers. I work with killers, but there's a different flow to it when you are a part of like certain reality profession. There's a different I don't know, there's less of that need to prove stuff, because like I said, you already know what you've done and you already know what you're capable of. So I'm glad to hear that you come on the show and give that perspective of, no, I don't want that type of issue, but I am still capable of handling that if it came to that, because that's the vibe I get off you, that, you know what I mean, you don't want to step to you the wrong way. Yeah, but what 9 times out of 10 they don't realize is you're on a whole nother level though. You know what I mean? Because of your lifestyle, your experience, your training, what you experience day to day on the job, you on a whole nother level. So they don't even realize what they asking for. They don't even realize, what kind of bear they're poking when they come at certain individuals like you are with any kind of, sideways stuff. So I really appreciate you coming. Also, I appreciate you having that attitude about, because this is something I was guilty of. I used to think that it was okay to be a little bit violent if you came from a violent occupation. I used to think that. It's no one can keep it all in there together and under wraps. Those that are football players, basketball players, military, MMA, boxing, law enforcement. I felt for a long time, it's like you can't help it when some of that violence spills out of you off the field or off the court or at the wrong time. But now you've given me today a change of mindset and attitude to where actually it is your responsibility, regardless. It's your responsibility to keep that in check. And that's really something that I took from everything you said today, because it's like you were saying, no matter how bad you are, there are places that are built to hold you. No matter how bad you are, on what level, from wherever you're from, there are places that are meant to hold you, to break you. That there are places that are meant for, whatever it is you think you can bring. So I really want to thank you for bringing that out about the consequences of the actions, consequences of, and how it's not an excuse just because you're from a violent occupation or whatnot. Don't lose your freedom over that.
No, it's not worth it, man. You're coughing up everything that you work for. You're coughing up everything that you've been through. And the thing about violence, to your point about the occupations, no matter what that occupation may be, the thing about not controlling that violence is that it only begets more violence. And there's always not only a place to hold you, there's some people that can put you down. You know what I'm saying? So exactly. It's not even worth it. When I walk, that's why the mentality of I'm surrounded by killers, when I start thinking about that, just even from the street, it's when you really go into the details of it, it's pretty humbling. You know what I mean? Like when I'm standing around cats that I know have got 4 bodies up under them and they only 19 years old, right? With nothing to live for, you move around in a certain way, right? And when I know that it's somebody that's got 25, 36 confirmed kills in action from a military standpoint, and I'm standing in a room with them or I'm sharing a range with them, you move and you handle and you treat them a certain way. But you also expect for them to respect you and treat you a certain way because you got a resume, even though it might be different than theirs, you got a resume too, right? And sometimes we forget that we aren't the biggest and baddest dog in the room. And it takes a lot for a man to sometimes humble himself and view that. But the way I was able to twist it in my head was, you know what, man, if I'm surrounded by killers and they respect me enough not to kill me, I'm in a good room. You know what I mean? Like if you surrounded by killers that respect you enough not to kill you, you're in a good room. And if you can take that mentality in every room you go into, I know what I'm capable of, but I respect the life in this room. I respect the fathers, the mothers. I respect the business owners in this room. And I know that if this room turned against me, they can put me down just as easy. Man, I'm comfortable in this environment. It's a lot of respect. That's why they say an armed society is a polite society, right? Because everybody's capable. So when I'm a room full of capable people that come from different backgrounds, did different things, I'll listen to your background. I'll listen to your skill set. But what I'm going to do is respect the man, right? And if you have never done a thing that's not violent, look, man, and you will know this better than me. I'm just going off the stories and the factual context of what I've seen, heard, and read, but you were actually over there. I've never been overseas in that kind of shape, form, and fashion. But if that's the case, we'll never have any of our highly trained men and women be killed by a 14-year-old that's been, shooting with an AK for 6 months. But yet we can constantly see these stories of these 14, 15-year-old kids over in whatever stand that can take out some of our highly trained military forces. Why? Because there's always somebody that can put you down, no matter what you think you've done. So move with humbleness, man. Move with grace. Move with peace in your heart. Move with looking at it in a way where you're trying to improve the quality of the life of other people and maybe share with them where you've come from so they don't repeat that. Or if they're in the same arena, like the military vets, I tell all the time, I'm not a military vet, but I do deal in a lot of the world of mental health. And I tell them boys all the time, man, there's a lot of organizations that I see that are active. And some of these boys and girls that circle home need to be more involved and get away from that macho of, I got this. No, you don't. Your ass is weak and you need to go to somebody to get some strength back, right? Because we can't have violent people being mentally unstable, because then all of a sudden we're supposed to love and respect you for the service you gave. But now we got to turn our law enforcement system against you, and maybe even some other military vets against you to put a wild dog down. We cannot keep acting like that. No different than a boy that come from the hood. Yeah, I was doing this and doing this, and I still bring that over here. And then me and you stand there like, hey man, we come from a similar place. Oh, I hate to have to put you in the dirt right now. You need to calm down. So we gotta bring a level of maturity and a mentality that changes. Yes, we are violent men. Yes, we are capable of it, but we should be protecting our society with that skill set instead of looking for a way to cause hurt, harm, and danger.
Right on. And I think a lot of people overlook. They overlook how much thinking and how much smarts actually comes with all of that. It's like you said, strategy and strategic alliance, and they forget how much of it, is moving with a purpose, so that, you're aware of what you are capable of. If I'm saying that right.
Oh yeah.
We're well aware of what we're capable of. And the fact that we're able to keep that in the forefront, because I have to admit I'm human, so there are times I've almost resorted to, and the times where I've almost let things go from verbal de-escalation, from a verbal situation that could have de-escalated easily, but it just takes you to remember. Or to just be able to talk to somebody real like you, to remind you, like, no, hold on. There are people that'll put you down. There are places that will hold your ass.
Mm-hmm. And people that'll miss you. What's happening to your family when you do that, right? What's happening to the lessons and education that you were going to be able to give them? What about that hug that nephew will need when he run into a hard time in his life? What about that cultivation of the women in your life that need you as a representation of a strong man to help them even pick better men, or they need the comfort of a man in their life? What happens when, that individual that was going to eat that bullet that day needed you to be on the other end of the line to talk them down? What happens when people need the essence of a man around them and you weren't there because you went overboard? right? So you got to think about all those people too, man. Like you're not just hurting somebody else, you're hurting yourself, and you're hurting everybody that's connected to you and everybody connected to them, right? So one body wasted could be 100 lives impacted. So, and if nothing else, I'll leave y'all with this. Nothing else, man. Think about it like this, because sometimes it's about the way you perceive things. Go down to a level of this. Is it more important for me to interact with a fool and have a 5-second engagement with them that can impact and change the rest of my life, or go home and cuddle up next to me a chocolate woman and have 15, 20 minutes of good time with her? Which one is more important to you? Because you ain't gonna be able to do both. You know what I mean? Like, so a lot of times tell cats, man, look, I'm not, if I have even think about it that way, I got something soft and warm back over. You can have it. I'm going back over here. You know, so I'm gonna give me a nice look. You know, I'm gonna walk into a nice hot meal. I'm gonna get some love for my kids, and if I'm lucky, I might get some good loving that night. That is more important than arguing with you in the streets all day long.
All right. I want to shift the focus a little bit, because I look at you as an influencer in the 2A game, in the 2A space. So I wanted to know, would you talk a little bit about, you know, when you started to post online and what it's like being an influencer and working with the gun companies?
All
right, hold on. We got a little bit of a technical difficulty. We lost him.
All right, sorry about that.
It's all good.
My apologies. So I got your last question. So yeah, in the space of influencer, doing that and working with companies and being on social media, I think I've been posting live for about, don't quote me on this, man, but I'm gonna say about, what is this, 2024 technically? So I'm gonna say about anywhere between 10 to 12 years, give or take. That I've been doing this work for a long time, but as far as like really utilizing social media for its intended purpose, about 10 to 12 years being on various platforms. I will tell people this, it's a job all within itself. I don't pretend to be an expert in any of this stuff. I'm good at what I'm good at. I'm learning what I'm learning at. But it is a job. You can't take it to heart. I mean, you can't take it lightheartedly and then say that you actually want to make a big impact with it. For me, the influencer side of things has been awesome. It's taken me on great trips. I've got to meet great people. I've got to meet and work with great brands. I've also got to see brands that I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. People that I necessarily don't care for in this space. I mean, I've met people that are absolutists when it comes to the Second Amendment. And in this space, I've met people that are anti-gun. They just make money off the Second Amendment. So it takes you and gives you a lot of insight, perspective into a lot of different arenas. But I can say it's been a blessing. The people, the different perspectives, the conversations I've had, it's been great. So from that side of things, it's awesome. So much so, what I will tell people is the reason why I started. So there's an event called Train and Learn. Train and Learn is going on its 5th year. Will be 6, except COVID kind of jumped in there and got us. But what I noticed is that a lot of people were getting into this space and flaming out. And I mean, a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds. You'll come in and you'll see somebody like, oh man, they got a cool perspective and a great, unique way of doing things. And then you look up in 6 months and they go. And I was wondering why that was happening. So the more and more I dug into it, the more I realized that, you know, some people just don't have the stamina. And then other people were just like upside down in what to do and not having a track. You know, they didn't know how to reach out to, like, I can say from the get-go, I could call a guy like Noor from jump, right? And I had CEOs that I was talking to within the first 6 months. I had a pathway that's not like everybody's pathway. And I realized that. So what I decided to do is create an environment where people could kind of come and get and understanding, whether you're new or a veteran, where you can come get an understanding about the business of what we do that can also help out with that longevity issue. So Train and Learn is what I developed with my team, and it's 3 days of professional development. There's one day, it's all about the business aspects of what you do, niche marketing, psychology behind marketing, budgeting your books, the proper way of LLCing yourself, tax information, business motivation, business structures, proper resources to use with your business. Doesn't matter if you're an instructor, you own a product. It doesn't matter if you're a blogger, writer, podcast. It's for everybody. These lessons can be used for everybody. So I bring in industry professionals that are experts at that. Like I'm bringing in marketing directors of Brownells. I'm bringing in CEOs of major brands or the marketing directors of major brands. This year, for example, we have the brother Ken Ross from Primary Arms speaking. I actually have a legit rep from YouTube that's actually coming down to talk about how to properly use Google and YouTube to run your business. And I don't mean they studied, I mean they work there. They get their check says Google, right? That we're bringing these individuals in to give that education. Day 2, I bring in other professionals that I respect in the game, from hand-to-hand, medical, rifle, and pistol. And they are going to go over their different styles of teaching and give you a speed dating-ish version of what they do. But I do that for several reasons. One, the people that are producing content aren't necessarily great at handling and manipulating the guns. They're just not, right? But they're great because they can get photos and video content. Like, it's awesome, right? And they can get a lot of people interested. Everybody is not an instructor and everybody's not meant to be one, right? So, well, let's get you online with people that can show you how to properly do it. That way, when you look good in your videos and your content, and then if you're an instructor, let's get you exposure to how other professionals are doing it. And if you're somebody that likes to train, let's get you exposure to people that you might decide you want to go spend more time investing in training with. And then from those individuals, they get to market themselves and show you their product and show you the reason why you should listen and validate them. And the third reason is I want people to understand something. In this business of what we do, I see a lot of egos. And so I can host an event that's limited to 60 professionals, and I will bring other professionals in and let them just rock out and do their thing. And many of them don't do it the way I do it, but that doesn't mean they're not just as good. Doesn't mean that they can't still teach you something or educate you. So I'm also trying to show people you need to swallow that ego and that pride. And other people can shine, and it doesn't dim your light, right? And then you get to learn that. So we got the lead medical instructor from the USCCA coming down to teach medical this year with a new program that they're putting out. So I'm putting people in all these rooms and these arenas with these professionals, right? And then day 3 is all about collaboration. So you get to take what you've learned from the first couple of days and understand how to collaborate with all these different people that do these different things from around the country. And part of that, we're also going to have a networking event Saturday night that shows you and gives you exposure about how to network. We'll do a bourbon and cigar pairing class, because part of networking, about 65% of this industry smoke cigars. About 65%, right? And about 90% of them drink bourbon. So if you can get understanding cigar and bourbon, and understanding how to approach somebody, because for so long from the influencer side, we think you go up to somebody and say, I'm cool and I got 5,000 followers or 50,000 followers. You should give me that widget and you will be better off from giving me the widget. Well, that's the presentation that they get from hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people every month, right? Because people don't understand how to properly network with somebody. And sometimes doing proper networking, you'll realize they're better as a friend than a business acquaintance, right? Because I might not really align with your product. I might not really align with your marketing strategy, but you're still good to know, because I might know somebody else that aligns better with it. It's not always about having a garage full of crap or just collecting free stuff, right? You have to understand their return on investment and what they're looking at, because their job's on the line too if you don't deliver, right? So understanding how all these things work and how you can integrate. And then because we have professional organizations there, they're also looking for people to partner with and work with, right? So if you are out there being a professional, taking the classes, taking notes, and pushing yourself forward, they're there watching you. Like, that's why they're there. So then they're able to approach you and say, hey man, well, we got this program that we think you'll be a good fit for. Well, you've learned over the last couple of days about how to have that conversation. So now you can say, okay, can you tell me more about the program? Oh, okay. Well, what kind of marketing would you expect from me? What can I deliver to you to make your program a success? Because a lot of people forget. People want to hear you acknowledge and understand what they're trying to achieve. Oh, okay. Well, I believe my brand can complement that in this way. Or maybe, oh man, with the way you're structuring that, you're trying to give me 1.6% kickback off affiliate codes. And I don't know if that's going to necessarily work, because we can start talking about consumer conversions and the way that the market's been going with that. So for some people that works, but my platform might not be geared toward that way. But I tell you what, I can become a great marketing asset for you because I'm able to produce high quality things. So what does your marketing budget look like instead of an affiliate program? So it's different ways that you can engage in these conversations to see how you guys can benefit each other. Once again, strategic alignment and alliance. How does that work? So for me, I never really got caught up in just being the influencer because I wanted to be more. And then when you start looking at companies like, well, no, truly, how can we really help these brands? Because we need these brands. How can we help them instead of just being an influencer? And then who the hell you influencing? What you doing? And that goes to your mission base. My mission base has always been about people. My mission base has always been about my grassroots work. I happen to be good at this firearms instructor thing. I will let my nuts hang on that, right? I happen to be good at that, right? So I do that. Talk to people and engage with audiences and get out there, and I speak on different stages, guns, no guns. I talk to politicians. So yes, I am an influencer in that aspect. But then you got to think about your market. Who are you influencing? What is your channel about, right? Are you just somebody who creates good YouTube videos? Then cool. Then you're great at that, and you can make some money doing that. Awesome. Are you a person that has a mission? Well, what's your mission? Because if you start off mission-based, and people have been hearing you talk about a mission for the last 3 years, then all of a sudden you turn into a sales channel, they're gonna resent you. They're not gonna know what to do with that. So you're gonna feel like you trapped them, right? But that goes into the psychology of marketing. So you have to understand the psychology of marketing. Do you have a niche market? Well, how do you develop that niche market and bring those products in? How do you talk about conversion? Do you understand conversion? Do you understand what affiliate marketing truly is? Do you understand how to reach people? What and who are you influencing? So I said this a while ago, some years ago, when people were like, comparing me and my numbers to just influencers. I said, understand something. There are social media influencers, and then there are influencers that happen to be on social media. Right? Because I can change lives for real. Yeah. So I might not always talk to 1 million people on a YouTube channel, but it is not foreign to see me standing in front of 300 people talking to them live. Right? So you have to be honest and understand, where is your devotion? Where is your time as a creator? What are you doing and what your mission is? And then choose companies that align with your mission. Don't go chasing that dollar and then be distracted from your mission, because your audience is going to pick up on that. And that fakeness can only last for so long. So whoever you are, whatever you are, develop that, cultivate that, and run with it. Don't just come out here like, oh, I want to be sponsored by, Daniel Defense, so I'm going to do whatever. And I'm just using them as an example. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get on their radar and lose yourself in the process, right? It's cool for people to unfollow you. Don't ever unfollow yourself, right? Stick to what your mission is. Follow what your mission is. Don't let these numbers and all this get you, because there are cats, look, I'll be honest, there are dudes and girls that I watch, and I'm talking about number-wise, oh, they kill them. I study them. I watch them. And I'm not watching them with a negative eye. I'm studying them like, damn, that was impressive, right? Okay, let me see how they moved over here. And when I meet them, I'm having a conversation. Okay, what was your strategy over here? Because I'm learning. I want to learn from everybody, even if it's just to share that information later on. Oh, okay, cool. And then there are people that try to come mimic that and fall flat on their face, right? Because they aren't being authentic to themselves. So don't be tempted in being like somebody else either. Because there are people, I can tell you right now, when it comes to a monetary a generative standpoint, that have 800, 1.5 million followers on YouTube. I don't even focus on my YouTube channel. That's going to change this year. I got 11.6 thousand over there, and I generate more than they do. So do you understand how to do that? Do you understand how to take what you have and make it work for your benefit? Or do you want to be an influencer that's caught up on just simply how many followers you have? Because there are people with millions and different than just the gun space. I'm talking about electronics and all, that have millions of followers and will still disappear because they have no idea what to do with them. None. They don't know what to do. Right? So it's more strategic. So if you want to turn on your cell phone and become an influencer tomorrow, all power to you, right? Because everybody's got a different gift. You're going to reach different people. But it's also not as simple as just turning on your cell phone if you want to make it a business. If you want to just be an influencer and run out and just turn on your camera and do things, more power to you. I got no problem with that. I'm not even being sarcastic when I say it. But if you want to turn it into a business, something that, if nothing else, you break even doing, then you're going to have to start thinking about running it like a business and all things that entail. And I would say a great start to that will become the Train and Learn. Train and Learn is every Memorial Day weekend, from Friday at 3 o'clock to that following Sunday at 3 o'clock. It is being held here in Atlanta, Georgia. This year, just south of Atlanta. And it's 3 days for $400. And that $400 gets you 3 days of professional development, 9 total seminar breakdown classes, 3 meals, swag bag, bourbon and cigar, if that's your thing that you get into, and a network. And over 3 days for $400. And I don't know nowhere else. If anybody's ever taken professional development in any industry, you understand that that's like flea market bargain basement pricing, right? So if you want to learn more about it, if that's something you're interested in and you want to understand what this game truly is, then I would highly advise you come to Train and Learn, because it was built for that purpose of giving everybody a leg up or a clear understanding about how to grow or get into this game.
All right. I want to ask you about 2 aspects of the business. Kind of pick your brain just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
How hard is it to talk to a gun company? And I mean, how hard is it to get a gun from a gun company?
Easy. I mean, that's the easy part is getting it. If you can prove, depending on what their need is and how hungry they are, right? Because a gun might cost them 30% of what you see as the MSRP. So it depends on what's in their budget and things like that. Easy. How hard is it to get a second one? That can be the challenge. All right. Because what did you do with the first one? And if you get a gun from, say, Scott, right? SCCY, if you get a gun from them, it might cost them $110 to send you out that gun. But that marketing director is friends with the marketing director at this company, who's friends with the planning and strategy director at this company. And so if that $110 gun gets to you and you don't produce with it, they're going to tell them. So when you go to them for the gun, then all of a sudden it becomes more difficult because your reputation is taking a hit. Oh, you didn't do what you said you were going to do. So now that one gun was easy, but the next 3 are going to be challenging and difficult. Matter of fact, you probably just get a no. Right? So before you think about asking a company for anything, you should already have a plan about what you would do with that thing. Right? So if I'm going to approach Smith & Wesson about this particular gun, I'm going to have my deliverables already lined up. What I know I can deliver, proof of how I can deliver that. Okay. The ultimate reason why I think that they should send it to me outside of the deliverables, is it because I'm a good representative of your brand, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then you have to start balancing out, okay, well, what happens if the gun sucks? Do I tell my audience that the gun sucks? Because where is my audience? Because once I tell my audience that the gun sucks, what might Smith & Wesson say, not only internally, but to others? So if Glock see that I'm talking about a Smith & Wesson gun in a certain way, in a certain manner, and I handled that behind the scenes with a certain lack of decorum, now all of a sudden, because I'm not in that position. Now, if I have a bigger channel, that all that changes, right? But now, how do you handle that if the product doesn't do what it's supposed to do? What's your strategy? What's your callback? What's your conversation? Did you just recognize the problem, or did you spend time giving a solution to the problem and rectifying it for them? So now they see you as an added benefit and maybe as a T&E. Matter of fact, are you good at T&E? Are you good at truly evaluating things from a mechanical standpoint? Because maybe they don't need you as an influencer. Maybe you can get into that T&E circle where they send you out the first revisions of everything to have your professional input and drive that back. And maybe there can be a cost associated with that. Could you be a review channel that also handles consultation behind the scenes? And everybody ain't got to know every contract that you signed. They ain't got to know that you knew about this gun coming out 6 months ago, because you got compensated just for making sure that the guns would pass some of the T&E that the consumer is going to put it through. So that's the way that you manage yourself. You ain't worried about having 1 million followers. You're worried about having 15 clients. You get? So different ways to approach it. So you have to think about all those things in advance. Last thing I would say is do not be the guy that just walks up and says, send me a gun. Have a plan. Why do you want that gun? What can you bring? Have you even looked at their marketing? And what does their marketing look like? Right? What does their marketing complement what you know you're gonna bring to the table? Or is that gun taking a hit? Right? So if that gun is taking a hit in the market, what do you look like? I'm sorry, I'm telling my next appointment I'll be a little late. 20 by 9. What does that look like for you? So if you take a gun from ABC company, and by the time you're able to cut your videos and do your reviews, there are massive channels that have done a review that's like, I don't know. This ain't working, right? But then you, because you don't understand how to handle the negativity that might occur, you just put out a good video, right? Like, oh, it was great. I put 50 rounds through it. It's the best gun I've ever shot. And then these other people with a high level of respect from the industry are like, nah, he lying, right? So now all of a sudden you've hurt your reputation with your audience because you wanted one good relationship with this company. How do you balance that? What is your behind the scenes? What is your plan for that, right? So easy to get a gun? Oh yeah, man, that's nothing. That can happen. That can happen. That's easy. To keep getting them and to keep your reputation and to not hurt your brand, that's where it can get a little tricky. Okay. All right. So I would tell people, always ask yourself, like, what is it worth to you? What is the true value and the true worth? And if it's not worth your reputation, and if it's not worth your time and investing and looking into that gun, then why? This gun sitting behind me, this is a Tactical Life rifle. Right? So that's Tactical Life. They're out of Davie, Florida. This is a custom build. I'm not touching it, YouTube. This is a custom build of mine that they built for me, right? It's a 12.5-inch SBR. We got the Holosun 512 on it with the matching magnifier. We got the Radiant charging handle. It's custom engraved nickel bore round bolt. Geisley 3-gun super dynamic trigger. Radiant ambi safety selector. Surefire Scout with the Light head on it. We have their, I think they're called the 8-ball muzzle brake. B5 stock. Custom IR resistant paint on it, right? Beautiful sling to come attached with it. Now, I can shoot this gun and have shot this gun in front of people all around the country, right? This gun has been in Alaska in a training class with me. It's been in Tennessee. It's been out in Georgia, right? So for me to say, hey, Tactical Life, send me a gun built to this spec. I just told you I took that gun all the way to Alaska and shot it in front of people. You want to talk about an influencer? Be an instructor and see how much you can influence what people buy, right? Now, I'm not willing to show that to my audience if it's up stuff, because what you're not about to do is have me running a bad platform and then I'm lying to my student base. No. It's got to match up. So over the course of the years, I've been shooting their guns for 5 years now. Over the course of the years, there have been times where I'm like, hey man, we got to tune this. We got to change that. We got to do this different. They're like, oh, cool, boom, right? They do it. And now all of a sudden, every product that comes cranked out is exactly how I want it. But for the price of a gun, imagine how much exposure they're getting, right? Imagine what that's coming with. So what you have to ask yourself is, are you able to do that same level of exposure? Can you carry this gun on the front of a magazine? Because there's a magazine talking to you about doing that, right? Or are you somebody that's going to say, oh, I'm going to have 1 million YouTube followers? Then your conversation might be a little bit different. And so it really varies and differs. And then how knowledgeable are you? I can break down every single part of that firearm. Or are you going to be somebody that gets it and you like, well, this is the barrel and this is the muzzle and this is the grip. If that's the case, then you're probably going to be a bigger influencer in the part of just showing people that the widget is cool. But you're not necessarily an expert at the thing. So you talk to your audience differently. And neither one of them is right or wrong. You just need to understand that coming in, how you're going to do it. Because I can tell them, I'm going to run this gun in front of people. I'm going to shoot this gun in front of individuals that are looking to buy. I'm also going to carry this gun around with me to multiple states or give it to my other instructors to carry with them to multiple states. Is it worth you producing me a gun to do that with? Probably is. And then I get to say, cool, it's an expense that I don't have as a business purchasing one. right? And then we can work out everything else we work out behind the scenes. But that's a good general way to start that kind of conversation. So I know it's a lot, but the reason I try to give a lot is because people don't put thought into it. And I've seen people, oh yeah, coming from SHOT Show, man, I got 3 companies promising to send me guns. First of all, if 3 of them said they're going to send it to you, you're going to get 1. Because everybody say yes to SHOT Show. Let's just get that out the way. You're probably going to get 1. And depending on what you do with that 1 could either help you get the support you need in the future or hinder you tremendously. So act accordingly.
All right, KD, I've held up enough of your time. I really want to thank you for coming on the show today. If you don't mind, can you let everyone know where they can find you online?
Oh, absolutely, man. It's my pleasure talking to you. So nootherchoice.com is our website. Please head over. We got everything except for actual firearms, but everything you need to support your firearms journey. Lights, magazines, optics, all those things over there. You can also get our cool swag at nootherchoice.com. Like this hoodie says, Harriet would have smacked the sugar honey iced tea out of you. For people that don't understand that we're different. We got all kind of swag over there, including our custom merchandise, hats, and all those type of things. So yeah, nootherchoice.com. And as far as any social media platform, The Real, REAL, NOC for No Other Choice. So The Real NOC, and that'll get you in contact with us. I am most active on Instagram, I will say that. But the YouTube channel will be active this year. We got a lot of guys going to be cranking out a lot of stuff. And the last thing I'll say is this before I let you go. A lot of people, one of the biggest things, if you are an instructor or if that is your goal, one of the biggest things that we have a problem with is having places to actually host our own training. And one thing I can tell you is that I have, with good intentions and good grace and the right partners that I'm blessed with, I went from being a kid that started in this game, figuring out everything as I went, to now actually having a piece of land that's bigger than the hood that I grew up with my own range. So if you want to learn the game, come to Train and Learn. If you just want to interact with me on social media, that's how you can find me. And I look forward to maybe even seeing you out in the class. Our training schedule is at nootherchoice.com too. We're all over the country. So yeah, head over there, check us out.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode 81 of the WarDawg Trail podcast. We had for you Kevin Dixie, KD, also known as the Real NOC. Brother, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for shedding light on all that you spit game on and that all that you were able to reveal. And I think I'm going to have you back on in the future, bro, if you don't mind.
No. Send me the invite, brother. I'll be happy to come back on.
All right. That'll work. You take care. You have a good one. And thanks again for coming on the show.
No problem, man. I appreciate you having me. You guys be blessed, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Salute. All right. This has been episode 81 of the WarDawg Trail.
All I know is war. All I know is shoot. All I want is more, but I got some things to do. I'm a dog of war. Hell's what I've been through. I'm a dog of war. I did it all for you. I'm a soldier, I'm a warrior. Got an emblem on my cover. And ask me what I did for ya. I put the trash deep down under. Yeah, I'm a dog of war. Hell's what I've been through. I'm a dog of war. I did it all for you. Yeah.
Took some time in the place, man. I just needed some space. All the pain show in my face and my heart starts to...
That's the show for today, everyone. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with an all-new show. And remember, you can listen to us again and again. The podcast of this radio show is available right after we go off the air tonight, anywhere that you can get your podcast episodes. And thanks for joining us today. I'd like to take a moment to talk about something close to my heart. Military Broadcast Radio is doing incredible work to support our veterans and bring their voices to the world. They rely on your generous donations and your dedicated volunteer hours to make it happen. I encourage you to consider supporting NBR in any way, form that you can. use this QR code that's attached to the picture, or you can go to our website at mbradio.us. That's Mike Bravo Radio.us to learn more about how you can donate or volunteer even just an hour a week from your home. Help make a difference in the lives of our veterans, because once again, we're all here for you and not for us. We're giving our veterans a voice.